When I first started out in the food business, it was a small company, and my job was to add silver flakes, real silver flakes, to the barrel that was spinning. Okay, there's candy in here. You add these silver, just the right amount, and you let the stuff spin. And when they look all coated enough, you learn not to eat anything. And when they're all coated, you stop it. And they basically don't stick together. Hopefully they don't stick together. They're right temperature, right this, right that. It's all coated. You spread it out and you put it into a box. Away it goes. Well, many things like M&M they have a small little seed in there. There's a seed in there, and you're coating this seed. Number of times, you take them out, you measure them, how thick they are, and you need more chocolate in there, you put more chocolate in there. And then you put them into another drum, which is putting a coating on them. You know, a green coating, a red coating, a blue coating, and that's it. Well, I worked at a company that did that, and they were after a contract from a big company. Let's say, I won't say M&M's, but something else. And what happened was, their product was continue to stick together. A couple times here, a couple times there, 3 times, 4 times, they would stick together. And what they were supposed to do is submit this stuff to the big manufacturer. Well, the stuff stuck together. So what they did was submit the single ones, the ones that didn't stick together. But I had people going back there, going through these boxes and taking out all the single ones and submit those to the manufacturer, candy company. They were going to correct it. Well, how do you correct it is you speed up the drum. They didn't. So I was told that when I was looking at the stuff, it's acceptable. They're sticking together, but that's acceptable. Of course, I know that's not acceptable, but I was told by my supervisor that is acceptable. So every time I went past the drum, it was acceptable. 50 pallets of this stuff later, management screamed bloody murder. It says, what in hell did you do? Because they did the second run and they did the same thing. They pulled out the single ones and submitted it to the company. And then he approved of that. As I said, 50 pallets later, they put a stop to it. I was told very simple, that's what's acceptable. Who told you? He did. My boss did. Why? Because a lot of stuff in this place, which I've had put on hold in the past, well, I put it on hold. Somebody at night comes along and says, it's okay. Remember that little incident with the other stuff that was out of spec? I showed it to you and you said, yes, that's out of spec. Somebody else out of spec. We put a hold on it. You know what happened that night? It went out. I'm a QA person. I worked at another company and I kept seeing little flakes of orange in them. And product. I go over to my boss and say, well, this stuff is supposed to be all white, but what's these little flakes of orange in them? Okay, because I just took a sample out of the drum and they don't know. They halt the drum. It seems that somebody forgot to clean the drum before they changed over. Ooh, little problems like that. I worked at Nabisco. making chocolate cookies. And somebody didn't question, and the scientists who put out the order put out not ounces, but quarts of liters of water to be added. And the stuff, when it was dumped on the conveyor belt, right, and to be punched out, goo. But the guy who mixed this up followed what was in front of him. He never questioned it. He followed what was in front of him. Goo. Let's go back to FDA. FDA, there was 100 children in this country got lead poisoning. And from cinnamon applesauce. How could that happen? Well, what usually happens is they go in there and they get this pallet and they take a sample of it and they run it. And that sample did not show lead. But what happened was somebody purposely put lead into the applesauce somewhere along the line. It's called poisoning our children. Why didn't they catch it? But the samples that were submitted didn't contain lead. It's somewhere down the line you had lead in the product. Purposely put in lead in the product. Well, we don't have enough people. That's easy. The stuff was submitted and somebody didn't go out and death because we don't have enough people to do the work. We got these people, technicians, they know what they're doing, and they're looking for lead in the product. Or they're looking for abnormally stuff in the product. Somebody would purposely put lead in some of the packages, or a lot of the packages. And that is the problem. That is a real problem when dealing in food. Many times, more than many times, people will add things to it that's not supposed to. I worked for a cheese company, my food company, and they changed the quality of one of the products in cheese, the whey. They changed the whey, and the cheese product, powdered cheese, they changed the whey, and 4 or 5 months down the line, the cheese powder started to smell, and it took a lot of money to figure that one out. That the ones who submitted the whey changed things. Thousands of boxes of, let's say, cheese, powdered cheese and macaroni had to be tossed because, that's why the U.S. Food and Drug Administration was set up, to check the incoming food into the United States. Things from Mexico, you keep checking everything. You find out how much DDT is, DDT is in the product. What is acceptable and what's not. And it's constantly, every time a food company creates something, they have to submit it to multi-testing facilities, biological, what's in the product. What you hope what's in the product is what you're supposed to be when you get your raw material, and that's hopefully. But if you work in the food industry, you find out that they change things around, and they can be very. They can change a chemical dye. Here, dioxin, titanium dioxide, which is a whiting, and Oh, we have to use it, our stuff, because our stuff isn't that white. Cake mix. If you're in the food industries, there's a lot of things you don't eat. A lot of sugars you don't touch because what's in them. I think things that are banned in Europe can be banned in the United States. First it's banned in Europe because you get all those nations together and they test and they find out the quality of the chemical is not good. And I think it's titanium dioxide. Then it goes to California, and when California bans it, then the other states around the country will ban it. But until that time, that's what we're eating. How to make orange seem more orange? How to make grapefruit be more grapefruit? How to make watermelon more red or white or green or purple, whatever it's supposed to be. Yes. And when you're in the food industries, you learn, that's how you do it? Oh, yes. What was it? It used to be bars of candy by some company. And every time it got warm, you could almost watch this stuff. You started to have movement inside the bars, wrapped bars of candy, because the insect eggs are hatching. What? Hatching? Yes. And I worked in a warehouse where they have a special room for candy. And it's cool. It's not, and you would have people who, they would do is they would take out the box out of there. It could be a frozen box of candy, and by the time it gets to the truck, you hope the truck doesn't get too warm. You would refrigerate these trucks that are carrying candy, and it goes to the store. And hopefully the air conditioning in the store is keeping the candy below a certain thing. And the homeowners gets the stuff at home, depending on where it's stored. If it's stored in the refrigerator, there's no problem. If it's stored on the shelf, bugs. That can be. Yes, that can be. Because certain food is acceptable. I have so many bugs in it, or bugs' eggs in it. Acceptable. So if your bar of candy starts flying away, you know it's full of yes. But working the food industry, you learn not to eat a lot of stuff. You like to know how it's processed. I worked in a soft drink thing, and they would take a sample every line. They would take a sample of the product and send it to an outside lab to find out if there's anything in the product that's not supposed to be there, in case something goes wrong on the bottling line, in case something goes wrong. And you test the how much caffeine's in it, how much this is in it, how much that's in it. And if the run is off, you reject it. You basically throw it away. Now, I was on one run, and one of the bottles of 24 wouldn't screw down far enough. So I put everything on stop. I had 300,000 bottles on my run. And I put it back in the corner. I said, so we're going to talk about this tomorrow. I come in, you got some people back there unwrapping everything and making sure all the bottles are that way. Of course, 1 out of 24 is not. I said, what are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? Oh, we have to make sure all these are working. Why? There's 24 bottles in that thing. One has a loose cap on it. Okay? Give it to the store. What's going to happen? It's coming out of our warehouse into an air-conditioned store, and nothing's going to happen. Person brings a case home with them, and maybe they take that thing. It is very possible somewhere down the line you will have green on top of the bottle. They give it back to the store or they throw it out. Oh, another time working in the same warehouse, we had a spill, chlorine spill. And my thing was, since I'm sitting right next to a opening door, I took a large fan, I blew everything out to the outside, spread it down with water and blew everything outside. They said, well, why didn't you call the fire department? Because they would have shut the whole building down. We've been down for 8 hours, but they're going to do the same thing I do. Oh, okay. But it's rough, and FDA's out there all the time. Every product that comes in here, especially from China or the Middle East or South America, from some countries, they have their own FDA there. Here, depending on which country they come from, you have to watch it. Food coming in from Mexico, is it an American-owned company or is it not? Depending on how it's grown, where it's grown, what's in it. It's a big thing. Yeah, but as someone says, they're understaffed. And I used to work for Kraft Foods, and we would get samples from the USDA to run it through our machines to double check it. And other houses would get the same stuff. What's in it? What's really in it? Of course, Kraft had the latest stuff, and USDA, well, if something goes down, they're looking for another house. ConAgra used to do the same thing. But it's that one from Ecuador really said, well, why did it happen? Because we didn't check every package for lead. Not every package contained lead, but enough of it did. And it had to be purposely put in. At what point down the line, who knows? But it was purposely put in. Yeah. So the next time you have something go wrong, make sure your stuff is within the date it's supposed to be.